when they are consuming your minds and your thoughts and your dreams, from the angels to the demons and to the mysteries unseen, there is no need to worry. There is no need for dread. It's just time to discuss the thing at the foot of the bed.
Good evening, and if you're just tuning in, you're listening live to United Public Radio Network, otherwise known as UFO Paranormal Radio Network, or just UPRN. You are watching or listening The Thing at the Foot of the Bed. I am one of your co-hosts. We got people here already. We got Sandra Sharp, we got Zach Man. I'm going to introduce my amazing co-host, David. We were going to try and do Happy May the 4th to you guys. May the 4th be with you with the Princess Leia thing, but they just kept falling out. Anyways, I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin. I'm a host here on the network. Obviously, I have my own show, The Angel Rock, on Monday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm a Canadian clairvoyant medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher and mentor, and registered nurse. So welcome. If you see what you like here, please be sure to share, like, and subscribe. There's something for everybody here. There are all kinds of new hosts on this network. I can honestly tell you, I've gotten to know a few of the new hosts. They're amazing. They've got great shows. I had Faye and Roger from Latino Psychic Visions on. They've got another show, I think it's this Mugs for You. And then tomorrow, I'm going to be on the Alan show here on the network. They're from the UK. So we got all kinds of crazy stuff. One more thing quickly. Poor Dave. He's always so patient. I'm trying to talk quick. We are also on Roku. And I believe we are on Roku. I set our show up on Monday. So, so the channel is actually for the network. So if you're looking for it, the easiest way, don't have a code for you. So it is you sign into Roku. You're going to go to the channel store, look up UFO space P as in paranormal. You're going to have a list come up. We're about the third or fourth one down, I believe. You're looking for UFO space paranormal and United Public Radio. You go on there. Many of the shows are on there. So you'll have to check it out and see what you think. We're on TV now officially. And one more thing. If you're on Facebook and you haven't done it yet, please go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. I'm going to leave that streaming by. Give them permission to use your name and photo so we know who you are. Dave, thanks for being so patient.
Oh, how confused I am at this point. That's okay, though. I am David. Happy May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. And there are, at the foot of the bed, things are, as Yoda would say. I am a spiritual medium, and I also have another podcast called Mystic Stew, which is a short form one that's pre-recorded. And then, of course, I'm with the lovely Lorilei on this podcast. And if you want to get a hold of me, you can write to me at david@theywhispertome.com, and that is also my website, theywhispertome.com. Well, enough about me.
We got Lisa Campbell here. That's what I forgot to tell people. We are off of our main YouTube channel for the week. Nobody was naughty. It's just what happens sometimes. So we are streaming to you. If you want to add in on the comments so we can see you, we are on our secondary channel called UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials. But you can also go to UFO Paranormal Radio, the Facebook page. And if you are over there, we will see your comments. So we're glad to have you here. Welcome.
Yeah, we're also streaming live right now.
Yeah, Michelle says, good day, everyone. Dave is muffled sounding. Dave.
Oh, I'm so muffled. It's this stupid thingamajiggy. I can see if I can fix it in a second. But you can also go to my YouTube channel, The Spirit Experience, and watch us.
Yeah, the only thing is, like, I'm on my YouTube channel too. I don't know if they can see, like, if we'll see their comments, because I've tried that before. Because we're streaming to a whole bunch of different platforms, and it seems like the network ones are the ones that show up. But if you are on Dave's YouTube channel or even mine, usually people don't watch on mine. I just use it as a backup. Let us know. Dave, do you want to see if you can fix that? Do you want me to keep yapping?
Do I sound better now?
Yeah, you do.
Okay, I do sound better now?
You sound 100% better.
Freaking fixed it. All right. I am not a technical person. I don't know how I did that.
What did you do? Like that literally just went like that. And you sound like you came out of the
I went into settings and it gave me an option to which microphone to use. And the microphone on my video camera is not as good as the microphone on my laptop. So I changed it to the microphone on my laptop.
Okay, that's what you got to use from now because you sound amazing. Even Lisa Campbell says sounds much better. So Dave and I, as you guys know, we just love each other. Sandra already told me I had time to invite people tonight. I tried to remember people I know to invite them, remind them because they forget when we're live. There's always a replay, you guys, so that you know that because I'll get people messaging me, oh no, I forgot you were live. There's always a replay on Facebook, our YouTube channels, network YouTube channels, anywhere where podcasts or talk radio is carried, we are carried. Like you could have some obscure app, and I guarantee if you look up UFO Paranormal Radio, you will find us there. I guarantee you.
Yep.
So we were talking. What are we going to talk about tonight?
Well, as you guys know, Lorilei and I, at some point during the week, we always send each other memes, or we'll send each other ghosts for stuff to look at. And Lorilei had sent me a Nuke's Top 5, and in this one. And it's not something I watch all the time, but Lorilei does. So when she does, when she sends me one, I'll watch it because there's obviously something I should see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I don't send them to you every week. Like I only post them if they're halfway decent. Like I don't always put them up either. Mm-hmm.
No, and plus if it pertains to me, Lorilei knows me. She knows it's like, oh, David will just poo-poo this and it'll be gone. It's like this one.
But I'm getting quite skeptical, after living through it and stuff. I always was. Like I'm always a believer the truth will reveal itself.
It does.
But we've had private conversations about a particular case I was asked about, and we were pretty well on the same page about it.
Oh, we were both on the same page. We got the same feeling from it. Mm-hmm. The one she told me today was one where there's a guy who was filming and he had a jester puppet in his house and it would turn its head, do all these things, which I'm not going to deny it happened. Okay. But for me on that one, the fact that everything was too perfectly placed, but the other ones, when they were going into places, and these were like, to me, legitimate paranormal investigations because they weren't out there shouting, "Who did you kill? Talk to me," and all that stupid stuff.
Well, they investigate in abandoned buildings. They weren't looking for paranormal stuff.
Yeah, they're investigating the bill and the stuff that was coming through, and these guys were very calm about it. Which that one guy, that shadow was in the background, and they wouldn't let him out.
Both those guys, because I rewatched it because you reminded me, and I'd seen it on Sunday. If it's going to come out, so those of you who don't know Nuke's Top 5, it's on YouTube. He gets videos sent in from all over the world of paranormal type activity. He leaves it up to the viewer to decide. So the one guy. He used to I guess, investigate all abandoned buildings with his brother all around the city. And he moved and he said he was feeling nostalgic. So he started watching the videos again. I think that's the one you're talking about with the shadow.
There's a guy, I mean, he's getting ready to hunker down. A lot of times investigators, they're really quite brave people because, I mean, they'll go in a room just for the sake of trying to get some kind of evidence for everyone else. And they'll sleep in that room alone, in the dark, all alone. And this guy, as he was going to bed, there's a shadow. There's literally.
I know what you're talking about, the Brits. You're talking about the Brits. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. That's Snoop's Top 5. It's top 10 ghost videos if you want to check it out on YouTube, folks. Go ahead. Sorry.
These guys were very comfortable. You can tell they didn't instigate anything. They were literally having conversations. A entity or so and so forth was holding a door shut, and instead of saying stuff out of fear or anything, they literally just asked if they would let go and let them out.
Very politely, too.
Yeah, very politely. And it did. And then they went back through to see how did that door get shut. So stuff like that is real. And it got me thinking about ghosts. The first story they showed was kind of creepy with the doll, and the attic they were showing so resembled the attic in my house when I was a little boy. It was you went through this door, and then there's another door that went into the attic, and it was long on both sides. It was like in back of the house. So it was a slanted attic like that. And it just brought up all these feelings about how in the beginning, how scary it was for me. And it's not now, but when you're a child, you're like, what the heck? And this is odd, but it brought back weird feelings. And then I thought about and I don't talk about this, and I told Lorilei about it. I wonder how ghosts see us, not how spirit sees us, because I know how spirit perceives us from being there. But I wondered if ghosts perceived us differently, and they do. That I do know. I was told that by my guides and all, whether you believe that or not. But they do see us differently because they're not all the way over. They're not They're not away from the physical yet completely. They're still kind of got a foot in the door. And I had this part of my NDE when I was in the hospital. I wasn't a ghost, obviously, but I was out of my body. It was an OBE at this point. So I was out of my body, and I was standing next to my bed while I was lying there with all the tubes in it. And I could see out the glass doors of the ICU room, the little ICU room. I was watching people walk by. Everybody was in 2D. And I thought to myself, and it was frustrating too, because they were in 2D and I was speaking or thinking and no one was answering me. And I remember getting so kind of angry because I wasn't getting it. And I just like, why aren't they?
You're the first person, though, now that I think of it, unless maybe it slipped my mind, that has actually talked about it being in 2D. But it makes sense because you know what? We had this conversation when every now and then, I've been at the network almost 4 years now, and say we do have a spot that opens up that we haven't quite filled with a new show yet. And we will have a paranormal panel. So anybody that's, is available, and we sit and talk and everybody shares things. And one of the things that came up in conversation when you were talking about this, Dave, not quite the same, but wondering exactly the same question though. What does a ghost see? Not a spirit, like, not a spirit guide or what have you, somebody that necessarily may be earthbound. And some of the conversations that came up were, and there's Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano who are on after this. They've got The Outer Realm on Wednesday and Thursday nights here. They're amazing. She's our network station manager as well. She's been on Canada's Most Haunted, many different TV shows. And I remember this conversation specifically, and we were talking about how important it is to treat spirits with respect, right? Just as you would if you met somebody on the street, you still need to treat people respectfully. But then I remember her sharing a story where they went to one place in an investigation, if memory serves me right with the story. And it wasn't Michelle that had asked this. It was somebody else that said, well, how did you die? And they got back through an ITC device, so intertrans communication, supposedly communicates with the spirit world. And the answer back was something to the effect of, no, you're dead. And I've heard that so many times. And the other thing I'm going to add quick, because I know Dave's going to jump in here, is that when we watch, say, even residual energy, or we watch spirits that seem to be somewhat intelligent and they walk through a wall or whatever they do, and you see these investigations and these absolute runes, how do we know they don't see it like it was when they were alive?
Yeah, well, I've heard from spirit that they do see it like it is when they're alive. And we're kind of like we're like the shadow to them. We're like the shadow person to them that they saw. I've heard that from a lot of spirits that I talk to. That's what we are to them.
Yeah, but how about the building is what I'm talking about too. Like, you go to this castle, for example, and it's an absolute shambles and moldy and wet and damp and whatever. But you wonder, does it still look the same as it did in its heyday? For example, say you've got an earthbound spirit that we would qualify as a ghost. Maybe it still looks that way to them.
It might, and it could. I have in my investigations have asked the question about are they aware of time? And some were aware of time, some didn't. The time was different. It was either really slow or really fast.
Do you think maybe it matters what dimension they're in? Because I always feel humans, we can see into dimensions we just don't realize we can. Like, I don't know.
Because because that's what infrared is. How somebody discovered infrared lights. They were testing the colors, the temperature of colors, and found out that, oh my God, they discovered infrared by measuring temperature. So yeah, there are things that we can't perceive or refuse to perceive with our human eyes. Now, when I saw those people in 2D, another strange thing from having an OBE or wherever I was or whatever I was all the males pretty much looked alike. All the females pretty much looked alike to me. So from the side they were, because I think I was seeing past who they were, like in real life, and maybe the one dimension was a one dimension of their soul. I don't know. I'm just theorizing this at some point.
Interesting.
But
I'm gonna. Oh, go ahead.
oh, Lisa, I was gonna say I hate when people. Oh, they talk
Because I
spirits.
was
Yeah,
just going to add quickly with Michelle. She typed it just as we were saying it. She goes, time slips. Should we
yeah.
read Lisa's comment here? Because I think it's important. She said, I hate when people are rude when they talk to spirits. Makes me want to wring their necks. And I would agree with you 100%. I'm sure Dave would too.
Yeah, I do too. Miss Lisa, I hate, there's nothing I hate more. The minute I turn on a ghost show and they start aggravating spirits, I turn it off. I don't
I'm
even
going
watch
to answer Michelle's question. I know you are too, but to talk a little, I'd like to go back to that in a minute with Lisa, but I do want to answer this, and I know you'll have an answer. I have a theory on this, Michelle. And her question is: ghosts can be irritated from doing renovations? Question mark. So there must be some awareness? Question mark. Well, that just depends what kind of, if you will, using the word haunting. Sometimes it's referred to as a residual haunting. That's when you may see something occur at the same time or repetitively, and you try to interact with it. It might just walk right through you. It just happens. It's like you're watching a movie. Now, then there are what they classify intelligent hauntings, meaning spirits that can communicate and interact with the human beings. So what my thought is on renovations, just a quick story, Dave. I know Dave's bursting here. I can always feel Dave's energy.
about a million things. So yeah, you're fine.
Well, all I was going to say is, okay, so think about what Dave just said. Nobody could hear him. Nobody could speak to him, right? And he said, you mentioned you felt frustrated. So imagine you're an earthbound spirit. Maybe you've passed tragically very quickly, or for whatever reason you've chosen to stay, but maybe you don't know that you're no longer living. Okay. So you go back to your house. You realize nobody's talking to you. Nobody can hear me, right? And then these strangers move into your house and you are not happy. I wouldn't be happy either. Like, what the heck? Like, what are they doing here? And so you do start to hear things about, activity, but think about the renovations. What would you do if you thought you were still alive and you've got these strangers in your house that can't hear you? You cannot physically remove them. You can't call the police. You can't do anything. What are you going to do to make them leave? Because they're tearing your crap up, I can't say the word I'd like to say, what starts with the S. Here, it's radio friendly. They're tearing all your stuff up. They're getting rid of it. They're tearing up your house. What are you going to do? Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's there's so much to think about there and unpacking it because of the fact sometimes I wonder are some ghost experiences from the ghost point of view more like an OBE that they can't come out of? Or, because I mean, like when they say, um, when we hear that it might be too, they might just be, if they're caught in time slips, they might be hearing the renovations and then the room looks normal to them and then they refocus on something and focus back to that room and then it's changed and they're like, what the hell? It was, no, you're moving, you're changing my room. Who knows? I mean, I can only tell you what other ghosts have told me. I can only tell you what other ghosts have told me, but the thing is, you know, there's things that they all say the same, but there's things that are different. So it makes me think that we can't really give an absolute to.
Okay, so I got a theory. I just thought of it. Hi, Robin. I had to say hi. We've got people from all over here: UK, Australia, the US, everywhere. And I'll read Zach's quickly here. He says, if I was a spirit and some investigators were treating me with disrespect, they'd be the first to get a wedgie from a spirit.
Right.
God, now I forget where I was going to. Oh, with spirits. Okay.
The
So
theory.
I think you were on kind of I think you were onto something with the fact you were saying maybe are they having an OBE sort of out of spirit. But the big thing that hit me was, remember, we have free will,
Yep.
right? I believe we have free will on the other side, whether we choose to leave or not. And I also believe we choose our experiences in this lifetime. So is it possible that we've built that into our experience, that we're not going to cross over into the light immediately because of what we're experiencing? But I truly, truly believe nobody is ever stuck here forever. Some may be held by some negative energy or something, but you can eventually cross over, and things do cross over.
I am a strong believer. In fact, one of my truths is, just from all the ones I've talked to and all the guys I've talked to, and the ones that are like really, validating type guides, that yes, being a between world spirit can be built in to your experience.
Okay.
But, and I hate to use the word but because that just negates everything I just said. But I have
exception.
There is exceptions, just like if you have a life plan to learn something here, it might not. Some people leave here early. Then there's maybe by their own accord, which they shouldn't have, which kind of messes up everything around. There might be people also who get caught up. I mean, I can't tell you how many spirits or ghosts that I have spoken to and that I hear from my guides that were strongly religious.
The dogma.
They had a fear of going all the way over because of what they learned in religion, or somebody who's extremely strong atheist. Like, atheists are good. There's nothing wrong with an atheist. Atheism is actually, and I know people don't want to hear this, but it's actually chosen. You chose to be totally separate from everything. And you have to let those people do their journey because they're good people. There's nothing wrong with them. It's the other ones that are scaring me. The ones who, the God-fearing people, those are the ones who scare the heck out of me.
Didn't you have one in your live? Because Dave didn't know he went live on TikTok before we came on, and he didn't know I was there. He invited me, and I guess that everybody didn't show up, so I was busy. I had a face mask on anyway, so I wasn't going to join you. But I saw you say something like, "It's okay, Jesus loves you too."
Oh yeah, yeah. You get that religious nut right at the beginning that said Jesus loves you and all that. Which you know what? It wasn't a mean thing.
Well, that's not mean.
So that's why I just said, well, I'm sure Jesus loves you back.
No, but I didn't see the comment, but I can certainly imagine the type of comment. I've even had this conversation quickly. We're still going to stand the ghosts, I promise, guys, and stuff like that. But, it's almost like the title spirituality is now replacing the word religion. And I'm not knocking religion. And I actually heard a really good analogy lately, and I have to embrace it. And what it was whatever brings you closer to God or source or whatever, so be it, right?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yes, whatever gets you to whatever you need, go do it.
But the problem with it is I'm finding that spirituality, because I don't know about you guys, but there's all kinds of celebrity jumping on board with the spirituality self-help stuff. Shall we mention Matthew McConaughey? That it was everywhere. I did sign up to check it out.
I guess if you have if something needed to get out and spirit really wanted to get it out in the world, they might choose someone with a voice. But there are a lot of people, like you said, who are just jumping on that bandwagon.
I wasn't even done because I did pop in quickly after hearing from a few friends. It was on a Monday's Angel Rock show. I don't have time to go to stuff like that. It reminded me, and some people found it very helpful. And again, if it's something that gets you on a path to healing and, becoming a better you, nothing wrong with that. But nobody's better than anybody else. But, besides the pet industry, and we all love our fur babies, it is spirituality self-help group. Self-help stuff is one of the fastest billion-dollar industries growing. And I am seeing more and more and more. And I did watch a little bit of this. I couldn't watch long, and some people may need it. But I am telling you, Matthew McConaughey was out there talking like the next televangelist. They're jumping on the bandwagon.
There's a couple of them, and God love them, do what they're going to do. But since we're on this topic for a second, do you remember whenever we used to say, "Oh, what religion are you?" And people said, "I'm not religious, I'm spiritual."
Yeah.
And because They had no clue what they were talking about.
I know.
Listen, you guys, this is my definition of spiritual. Somebody who has the belief that the spirit goes on. That's it. And there's so much in between.
Well,
And
I think also too, spirituality can also be about trying to be a better you than you were the day before.
yeah,
We don't have to compare to anybody else but who we were the day before, as well as learning to love ourselves. And that's a journey and process in itself, and healing ourselves. And I think that most of us are healers, even though, and I'm not talking you have to be a nurse or a doctor, music, art, the words that you use, random acts of kindness, things like that. And I think that that's what sort of embraces spirituality, if you will, right? And
spirituality is fun because there's so many gray areas and there's so many
yeah.
theories and there's so many places. I always tell people, do whatever you want to. They're like, oh, should I do this? Will it call in demons? I always tell you know what? Whatever playground you choose to play on is the kids you're going to get on the playground. So if you choose to play on the playground full of bullies, all your in fear-based crap, then that's what you're always going to get. And if that's what you need and that's what you want, by all means, go have
And
a
you
good.
know what I say to people too? Not, I love the answer you gave there, but when people ask me, well, could I do this or could I do that? Or, like I share 2 of my videos off my YouTube channel, and I haven't grown my YouTube channel. I'm not promoting it, but talking about, I call it a love shield. So wrapping yourself in love, if you will. Maybe you feel sensitive to energy. Maybe if it does help. The other one is grounding and gritting. I think it's so important that we do that, right? But then I'll get a million questions. Well, can I do this? And can I do that? And my theory is, and this came from spirit, as long as you're not hurting anybody, including yourself, you're meaning it in love or in the best goodwill possible, then go for it. There are no right or wrong answers.
Oh,
If you thought of it,
yeah.
and it's not meant to hurt anybody and in love and somebody's highest good, I don't think you can go wrong.
No, don't. No, you can never go wrong. And now that's going to segue right back to where we were before because it has to do with it. So talking about, again, ghosts and what we learned about them. Now, if you asked yourself, do ghosts have a sense of spirituality? So does the ghost, and this is my answer this is my metaphysical theory. Okay. I am not asking my guides right now. I am not getting any definite yeses or nos. Nobody's here. So, because if we were in that place and got stuck, or we didn't know how to move on, or we're afraid, or whatever, we probably aren't going to pay much attention to anything spiritual. They're probably just trying to get back into that physical life because that's the life they know. They, at this point, might not have any idea that there's something beyond where they are because maybe they were held back from it, or maybe they were told a bunch of crap, or, who knows?
I think it's a fear-based perspective.
I think some might have that perspective, but I don't think all of them do. What do you think?
I think that anybody that stays here, besides maybe that they don't want to give up whatever, they've got a lot of material things, maybe there's some addictions, there's a lot of reasons why people stay. I think that some of it's fear-based, why they won't, especially if it's religious dogma. But I do know this, that running into and talking to people for years about this, that somebody that was not a very nice human being in life, and they've chosen to remain on the earthly plane without a corporeal body, we'll say. Not talking about crossing over or anything like that, because we really aren't our true self, I think, when we're in this human form compared to what we may be as a soul. If we are a soul still, but I mean united with our souls up, it's we could do a whole show on that. My whole point is that they usually don't get any nicer in spirit form if it's a ghost, if they weren't very nice.
No, and you know why? I can tell you why. I can tell you exactly why.
Okay.
Because unless, and I know this from my NDE, the big light that everybody sees, or that light they go through, or whatever.
Not everybody, but okay.
It's always a tunnel. Sometimes it's just a light they step into. That severs the cord that attaches the soul to the physical body, to the ego, to everybody else. That's why when I explain to people about the other side and I tell them how they feel about things, they don't understand it because they think people on the other side still have ego. It's gone now. No fear, no vanity, no nothing about that. But in between the worlds, as a ghost, they would still have their ego. So a ghost is still able to hate. A ghost is still able to be jealous. A ghost is still able to get angry because the ghost is still holding on to the ego.
Hi,
Debbie. Happy May 4th, Debbie.
Sorry. No, I agree with you. Doc, why, as soon as you start talking about ghosts and spirit, look who comes over. Sorry, she's decided she's coming to say hello. This is Emmy. Okay, Emmy, it's not time for a cuddle. You gotta get down. Sorry, guys. I gotta give her a shove. Sorry. Down you go, baby. No, I agree with you 100%. Now, I have, again, like I've talked about this many times, I've studied NDEs for 40 years, professionally and personally. And I've been so deeply blessed in a way that I've had patients that have had cardiac arrests and they've come back. And you know with what they're talking about. And the cool thing is, and I've mentioned this many times, especially in the Angel Rock, this podcast, there's no accidents. It's the Next Level Soul podcast. It's a ex-Hollywood director, and he felt this calling, and he interviews people about NDEs, you name it, channelers. Like, it's a really fascinating podcast. And he kind of made me mad, kind of annoyed me. They make me mad when he said to this lady that had, I think, 3 or 4 NDEs. Well, you didn't have a typical NDE. And I thought, there is no such thing as a typical NDE, because when you start looking at people's experiences, yes, you do hear about people talking about going through the tunnel and the light, but I've seen so many stories of people that literally were here, closed their eyes, and they're in so many different places and experiences. And I think it's how we exit the world. Plus, I think once again, we go back to, what did we build into the experience to transition from this lifetime back home?
Most people that I know for the light, after actual, not near death, but after actual death, I am told they do go through that. Mm-hmm. But NDEs, because we're still really attached, because even when I was over there, I still had human feelings, mm-hmm. kind of, in a sense, but I didn't go all the way over. So I always mm-hmm. tell people, I don't know. I don't remember everything that's all the way over unless I hear it from people I've talked to. And Rose just said she had 2 and they were both different. And because Rose, and you'll probably know this as well, it's our near-death experiences are also usually based on our beliefs. Mm-hmm. The coolest thing is, though, for someone like me, I didn't have a set belief of the other side. Even all I knew is that there was another side and there were beings, and I was talking to them as a kid all through my life. But I never imagined what heaven looked like. And when I went to church and they would describe heaven, I would be like, no, you're describing here. Mm-hmm. You're describing here, and I'm like, you're wrong, but I guess it really all depends on our experiences.
It does. Yeah, I think so. I'm writing, like I've mentioned a few times, 3 different books. And the last one is I'm collecting right now experiences from nurses mainly, and first responders. But as nurses, we experience and witness the most incredible, unexplainable, profound things that happen. So what I'm saying with that is, and having worked, and I've talked about this so many times on both shows, in palliative care, and I call it the gift. We've talked about it before. Not everybody has this, where you may get a few moments of clarity. Sometimes it's an hour, a couple hours, where the person is comatose, but they wake up and they seem like they're perfectly fine. And I know I've had to have some pretty difficult conversations with family members who may believe it was like a miraculous healing. And it's not. It's just, there's quite a few nurses. There's 2 on TikTok. One of them is called Nurse Hadley. Mm-hmm. And have you seen her, Dave? Have you seen her?
I saw her, yeah.
Yeah, and she talks about, she names it something different, but She sees it as well. But my whole point is I find that when people that are terminal, or you have elderly people and it takes a bit longer for them, say, to be passing away rather than an accident or something, they'll talk about seeing angels and their family members, or they'll start seeing, pets that have passed and stuff. And that's completely different, right?
Yeah, it is. It's completely. Those ones who are going to perpetually going over there are actually on their way. So yeah, that's so they can see that, and it's actually quite
But that's
beautiful.
what I meant. People have so many different experiences as they transition. I call it going back home.
I'm going to stop us just for a second, and
Yeah.
this isn't going to be part of our readings for tonight.
Thank
but
you. Okay, let me explain. Leona, I wanted to address this. You're going to address her?
yeah, I am. And
Okay, let me say one thing.
gonna help.
Leona, I'm so glad you're here. She actually ran into the Angel Rock and she had sent me a private question. And I said, I don't do free readings. I do, but not normally like on the Angel Rock. And I told her we have the unpredictable, predictable readings. So I'm glad you're here. Dave's all over this. So you're in good hands.
Okay, Leona, and I'm sorry, just to be fair, so other people know the context of this. The first part was,
I'm going to go back. And she said, can you see a detention center?
Can you see a detention center for my child? And then go back down to her new comment.
Yeah, hang on. She's 14.
And then she's 14 down the wrong road, and I can see her heading in that direction. Give me 2 seconds. Thank you. All right, so I needed to answer this for you. Stop seeing that in your head. Stop seeing that in your head. It's you don't know. She's on her own journey. What you can do, my dear, is let her know. Let her see where she could be heading. But the best thing to do is just to be there. To be there for them. I think she's going to be okay. I really do. I think she's 14, my dear, and I'm sorry, but I was a nasty person when I was 14 and 15, and people hated me, and I didn't do anything wrong. I mean, criminal. And I'm sure she might have your daughter, but you have to stop seeing that, because what you're doing is you're sliding into that dimension where this happens to you. So stop seeing it. It doesn't have to happen, and it most likely won't. The girl, nobody's listening to her. There's something about her not being taken seriously because
feeling heard.
Yeah, she's starting to become very authoritative with people. The best way to deal with that as someone who's close to her were to go ahead and let her be. Just listen. And instead of, while you listen, don't respond with an answer for her. If she didn't ask you for one, you respond with, I understand.
I hear you. I hear you.
I hear you. And
I'm going to
that's
say one thing, and Dave, and the other thing I keep feeling with her is, if you can, if the relationship isn't too tenuous, or again, like Dave said, somebody that maybe she feels very close with and can connect with, asking her what she needs.
Yeah.
What does she need? Sorry, Dave, go ahead. That was so strong. I had to throw that in there. Go ahead.
Correct. I mean, there's so many things to do, but the worst thing we can do is condemn somebody in our minds to what their future is going to be. You're not a bad person for doing that. You're a parent, and it's natural. But I'm just reminding you, don't do that. She doesn't have to be this way, and she's actually a perfectly beautiful soul, because I can see it. And so she just needs some kind of help. But I think you'll be okay, Leona. Just listen and go by that. Listen to your instincts as a mother, not as somebody reacting to something that she does, but listen as a mom. As a mom, the correct answer will come to you, because moms usually, not always, but I say about 90% of the time, moms know exactly what to do if they're a good mother. But
I'm going to share something else here too, because Lisa said, could that end up manifesting that for her? Well, what I've always gotten from spirit is to focus on what we want to see, not what we don't. And being a mom, and I have two, well, we all have unique children, but it wasn't, and it's difficult being a mom. Okay, I hear you, I see it, and it's hard not to worry. Okay, But again, I got to agree with Dave that, yeah, we do all kinds of things. We're trying to figure out who we are at that age.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this with any disrespect, but if you find that your relationship, you guys maybe are just like oil and water together, you're just not getting along that great with her, it might not hurt you if you're able to be able to speak to somebody about looking at maybe an alternative way of communicating with her as a teenager. Because I agree with David that she feels like she's not being heard, that she thinks she's bad. That's what I keep hearing. Everyone thinks I'm bad, so why bother? Just F it. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. No, thank you for validating. When I said that nobody's listening to her, you said you're a mom of 6. So she's got a lot of siblings. So that's what I was wondering where that was coming from. So yeah, she'll be okay. She will. She'll be okay.
I think it's really important, though, if you're able to, Leona, or if there's somebody, I feel like she's got, I don't know if it's a counselor or an aunt or somebody to be able to talk to her and say, basically, what do you need? What need isn't being met here? Obviously, you're not going to use that language with her. You're going to use language that's going to connect with her. The other thing Spirit's really giving me, try to remember back what it was like when you were that age.
Yeah.
My rule of thumb has always been with my kids is if I was thinking of it, say at 14, my kid probably, especially my eldest, my youngest has severe autism, but my eldest, I knew he probably was exposed to it, had heard of it, could possibly be accessing it at least 3 to 4 years sooner than I even thought of it, because we didn't have the internet when I was a kid.
Yeah.
A lot more for attention. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm moving around. I get when they speak about stuff like that, it gets really edgy because I feel that she's on her own. She's on her own journey, and from what they're telling me, I'm talking to my guides. She's on her own journey, like all of us. And you know what? She's going to be okay. And there you go. You have 3 with special needs as well. She's left out. She's gonna get this. She's okay. Don't put her in that future. Put her in the future of this is going to be the smartest soul I know.
I keep seeing that for her too, because she's like she's tenacious. You can tell with the fact that, like, you know, she's where she is right now. And of course,
and that 14-year-old could become a leader in something and change the world for the good with her mouth.
Like she has a gift too, that maybe she's really good at. I don't know if it's drawing or something like that, or writing. So really even focusing for her to even, you know, and again, I understand that she's in, like you said, a detention center, and I'm sure you're able to visit, but possibly being able to give her a journal that's all hers and tell her she can write whatever the heck she wants in there. And then even, like, I know I give anybody this that's trying to heal, go through it. I don't care what you write in there. Rip it up symbolically if you have to, release it, throw it out.
Yeah.
The toilet, whatever. And like helping with that healing, releasing. Because I keep feeling like she's got a really bright future too, Leona. But you got to focus on what we want to see, not what we don't. And I really feel that for all of us, that we have to do that.
Okay. And in ADHD, that's okay with ADHD, because I'm not putting ADHD down, but literally, what is it, like 9 out of 10 people being born nowadays have ADHD or some form of it.
She's not in one. I apologize. Let's read this for people that are listening. So Leona she's been diagnosed, her daughter, with ADHD, and she's a great boxer. She's not in a detention center as yet. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. It's not you. I am so serious about this. We are so powerful with our thoughts. And if you don't believe that, anybody hearing this, think about, we've all heard of a placebo or a sugar pill. And I tell you, if people believe in that, and they do, I've seen people cured from sugar pills because they believe it's a cure. They've been told that, a placebo.
And it's so funny, all of a sudden we started talking about energy. I had brought this with me because I wanted to show it on this. So anybody who's watching right now, I will show you this cute little book. See this tiny little book? This is by Pam Grout. I think you can order it on Amazon. It's called E2.
And it's 9 do-it-yourself energy experiments that prove your thoughts create your reality. I've done every one in here when I first got the book. Like
I didn't know that, Dave. You didn't tell me about it. Now I got to go get that book.
Oh my God, I forgot about it until I found it again. I did all of them in here, and they all absolutely work. And the first one is the coolest. The name of the first experiment is called and it's so cute. My eyes are so bad
Okay,
now.
well, you figure it out, and then I'll.
It's The Dude Abides. The Dude Abides. They're talking about the universe, God, whatever you want to call it.
That reminds me of the Big Lebowski, the dude.
But anyway, they teach you these little things to prove it to yourself. And I mean, literally, it's proof. And it's like, okay. But it's the best little book. Once again, anybody listening, it's by Pam Grout. It's called E2, and it's 9 do-it-yourself energy experiments. And it's a tiny little book. And if you're like me, you'll need glasses and a magnifying glass and probably something from CERN in order for me to get through. But it's a really good book. But anyway, ghosts are also energy as well. I'm segueing back to
Well,
ghosts.
no, but we should tell Leona. Leona's new. Most people that are in the chat, most of them are. I don't know. I think we've seen Lisa here before too. And I should remind you guys, you're listening. If you're tuning in right now to United Public Radio Network, also known as UFO Paranormal Radio Network, to the thing at the foot of the bed, with myself, Lorilei Potvin, and my amazing friend and co-host David Hanzel. But just so you know, Leona, we don't do readings. I met her. We had an amazing new show, a husband and wife team, Faye and Roger Garza, and they were on my show on Monday night on the Angel Rock. And that's how Leona ran into me. And I said, I don't do shows with readings, but Dave and I decided that what we would do is and Dave came up with the name, the Unpredictable Predictable Reading. So usually what we do is we start with a topic, and what Dave and I do, Leona, so you know, we're both psychics, mediums, have had NDEs and healers, you name it, is we get a lot of questions from people. And David has an amazing TikTok, right, Dave? And people ask him questions, and if he's able to answer them and what he gets from spirit, he answers them. So we started talking about this, and we thought, let's have a show about this. So yeah, we talk about this. We involve you guys. That's why you see all these comments and questions. And we love when you guys ask stuff, or you put your comments or ideas in here, because yeah, we just have kind of a chit chat about it all.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
I was checking the YouTube. I started. I got a very small YouTube channel, and there's only like 357 subscribers or something.
I think mine's at 397 or something now. I was like, woo, it finally moved.
I have just kind of got an IV going to that right now, just to keep it alive.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep it because I'm just got to post more. I used to make videos on it all the time. And in fact, if you guys want to, I did a lot of paranormal type stuff on that, explaining a lot of stuff, because back when I started that channel, I was doing a lot of investigations, but unfortunately COVID hit, and I just didn't go on very many.
Well, we could all tell, we could tell you that. I don't know. Are we going to do another reading right now, Dave, or what do you want to do?
Let's wait, because I don't really, I normally don't do mediumship readings.
No, neither one of us do, but I can answer it quickly.
Yeah, I can answer part of it, but go ahead.
I can answer the first part, is what I'm talking about. Of course, your dad was proud of you. Your dad's proud of you every day. You make him proud. All of your loved ones on the other side, they cheer, they applaud. Sorry, and what I was doing when she passed, I guess. Oh, your mom. I don't know why I thought I seen dad. Well, whether it's your mom or your dad, yes. And the interesting thing I have noticed, regardless of where we are, if we're in body form, she may not have been aware. But as soon as we leave this earthly realm, she's definitely aware. I don't know what you're picking up, or if you want to leave that, we'll come back to it, Dave, or what you want to do.
I don't, because I don't have her right in front of me. Because like I said, I don't set up for them unless they just show up because they need to. I don't know what you were doing at that moment, but she keeps showing me
Michelle saw Dad too. I thought it was Dad. I thought I seen Dad in the comment too. So weird. Michelle did too.
David and it looked like Dad. The one thing I do, it's not what you were doing when she passed, but I keep seeing you. I keep seeing you on your knees doing something, and I don't know if you're praying or if you're doing something on your knees. But you're down on your knees. That's the only vision I get just from the energy. But I don't know if I don't think that's from Mom. The name of my YouTube channel is called The Spirit Experience.
That's what I thought it was. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But Rose, Lorilei absolutely right. Of course, they're proud of you. I mean, yes.
Always.
Yes.
So I keep feeling, and I could be wrong, Rose, and I remember reading, and you went through quite a bit because you'd gone back to school to do your VCE. I'm not aware of the experience that your mother went through, as I call it, transitioning back home. But I keep feeling like before she went, that she had an idea what was going on. We have to remember too, and Dave can probably give you a little bit more about this, especially if somebody's comatose. I have had an NDE, but we were talking about this before the show, and I'm getting little bits and pieces back now, but I was a toddler. Like I was barely 3 years old when I had mine. So it was going to be very different from somebody that was, say, an adult like Dave was. But when we're in a comatose state or what have you, you have the ability to come out of body, if you will, like what David spoke about. The other thing I find, and again, it's a theory, when I was going to university for nursing, I worked in a nursing home, and those with dementia and Alzheimer's, and especially say it was a full moon, that's when we would see a lot of sort of, and I don't say it disrespectfully, but vacant wandering. Like you really couldn't interact with the person, although they may have been very interactive. They spoke another language. They went back to their native language. And spirits show me this as well. I believe that a lot of those human beings, if you will, when they are in that state, they're not really there. They're kind of out of body doing all the cool things that they wanted to do, maybe that they hadn't done before. I don't know, Dave, what do you think? Bye, Michelle. Big hug.
You'd be surprised. I've had some readings where they went to their funeral and they described it to me. And then I had some that said, I didn't want to go. And so they did it. So it all depends, but they see you, they know who you are. They know what you're doing. I mean, they do. They know if you went back to school or something. Well, Zach Man. Oh, okay. Zach Man says, I guess I can share an experience I had last Monday. I was in my smoking area outside when I saw a shadow figure looking at me from a corner at the end of my brick wall. I saw the figure. Ooh, the thing at the corner of the brick wall.
Okay. So it walked towards the kitchen door through the patio screens. Okay. My first question, Zach, what did you feel? I will bet you were not afraid, because I am telling you, Zach is one of the most interesting individuals I have ever met when it comes to paranormal activity. Yeah, that's what I was picking up, Rose. We'll get to that in a minute after we talk about Zach. That's what I was picking up. She knew. I kept picking up that's why I talked about comas. But we'll read the comment in a second. Okay, so Zach, what did you feel when you felt it? Like, what did you think?
Yeah, that's
Dave, and then, or I'll read Rose's comment. It's up to you.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so Rose, just to finish off her question that she had asked, and we sort of made an agreement that we wouldn't do mediumship. It doesn't mean that it's an absolute no, because sometimes, yeah, we can. It's so personal, and it takes a bit to kind of connect.
Yeah.
Sometimes people come right through, like they just come barging through.
They just barge in. Sometimes they don't.
So Rose says she was in and out of a coma for a week. The day before she went, she woke and was good, just like you said. Yeah, that's what I call the gift, like you said. And before them, she went down again. She waited till I was out of the room when she passed. Oh, you know what? I think that we really choose those moments sometimes. And it used to break my heart working in that field. But now I see it from a different perspective that somebody will stay night and day at the hospital. They will not leave. They will not eat. They will not shower, anything. And finally, they're literally running on fumes. And somebody will say, you know what? Let's just go for a cup of coffee or, go home and grab some clothes. And then their loved one passes. And I
Sometimes
think that
they want you to go away.
they don't want you to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? You have to say this, and okay, when a family member of mine who passes away, of course I'm sad, but I for some reason I get over it a lot faster. I was at the cemetery today talking to my grandma and grandpa,
Aw.
are dead in that cemetery, and rearranging their flowers and stuff, and had this wonderful conversation with her. And I put these two pinwheels up, and because some other things fell down, and I had two pinwheels up my car, and I said, "Oh, hold on, I got these pinwheels for you guys," and I put them in there, and they were kind of broken. And I said, "Well, you guys, it's good talking to you again. I'll talk to you soon." And I turned around and walked away, and the pinwheels just started.
Aww.
That was the wind, whether that was nothing, it doesn't matter. I know they heard me because I
You
talked.
know what? You take it for what it is. I think it was a response, like letting you know, yeah, we love these things. Thank you.
Yeah, and I do that stuff all the time. I'm used to it because I've been doing it all my life, so I understand.
Mhm.
But your mom with that too. I mean, going in and out within a coma, I understand that because I was in a coma, so I know what it's like to go in and out and do that. And trust me, it's more of a happy occasion for us than anything. Because the last thing I wanted to do is be slammed back into my body that had tubes going down my throat and cut open on the side and all that. It's like, oh God, I don't want to go back. You know,
The reason why I call it the gift, if somebody is terminally ill and there's like this is they're going to be saying goodbye. The reason why I call it the gift is because as in the medical field, we have there's physical signs that we know, like you've heard people say the nurse might call you and say, hey, you need to get here. It's not going to be long or whatever. There's many physical signs that we watch for. But like I say, I can remember one family in particular, and I wasn't a mom yet. I wasn't married. I was a single nurse. And I really have a lot of empathy for people going through this, the person themselves, as well as a family. And this family was a large Italian family. And this gentleman had been completely comatose, like nothing, no interaction. And all of a sudden, he was sitting up in bed. He was eating. He was smiling. And the family had really believed it was a miraculous healing. And I knew it wasn't. And I sometimes think it's a reason why I call it a gift. And again, just because maybe somebody has an experience with their loved one, it just wasn't meant to happen. Maybe you guys had said what needed to be said and what have you. Because I find it's sort of a time to say what they need to say, maybe that they hadn't said or what have you, if that makes sense, Dave.
yeah, it does. No, that's exactly it. I think those kind of things are really uplifting for people. I wanted to respond to Zach Man real quick.
I know. I just realized that it went on to Sandra's, and I realized, okay, so Zach says I was more shocked. Or you want to read it, Dave? Go ahead.
Oh, either one. Zach says he's talking about he saw the shadow person when he went out to have a cigarette, because maybe the shadow person just wanted to have a cigarette with you, or cigar. Maybe the shadow person wanted to have a cigar with you. Like you said, you are more shocked than scared. So what does that tell you? If you are more shocked than scared, I highly doubt that shadow being was anything to fear. A shadow being, there's different degrees of shadow beings. There are shadow beings that come from you that teach you something. I know all about them. And there are shadow beings that like in the woods, a lot of times when you see shadow beings in the woods, it's just kind of how we're perceiving something, maybe. If the shadow being were to come running at you while you were having your cigar and pull your hair and call you names and make you feel doom and gloom, that's a different story. But if that ever happens again, I would just say, what's up? I mean, literally.
Okay, so I know I've actually had Zach help me co-host on the Angel Rock. I actually ran across that video, Zach. It was a couple of years ago. My guest had canceled. He's been a big supporter of our network and many of the shows on the network. So he's told, I know him just like I know actually Rose, I know Debbie. There's a few of us here from our friend Jason Bland with Paranormal Soup Sunday nights. Make sure to check him out. He's on Facebook and YouTube. Amazing guest, amazing host. Zach has had the most incredible experiences, whether it's UFO, he's had almost like past life shared. I won't get the whole story, but it's with an individual that he's connected with within the paranormal world. Zach, you'll know who I'm talking about, that they may have shared indeed, possibly. It almost sounded like back in the gangster days. Oh, I'm so glad, Rose. She said, thanks, guys. It made me feel so much better. I'm glad. Sandra, we're getting to your comment just a sec. So with the shadow being, I'm interested in hearing, while I was in my safe space, are you talking about because you were within your home in a place on the patio that you love? And I know how much Zach loves cigars. That's his passion.
Didn't he say he was at work in his smoking area?
I thought he said his patio. Now let's go back and have a look, because he mentioned it while I was in my safe space. Okay. Highlighting it again. He said, I'll reread the comment. I guess I can share an experience I had last Monday. I was in my smoking area outside when I saw a shadow figure looking at me from a corner at the end of my brick walkway. And he said, I saw the figure
in your backyard. That's cool. I would say hi to it. I don't feel that it's unmanageable.
In his backyard. In his backyard.
I don't feel it's unmanageable, if you know what I mean.
No, I think he was just sharing it, because him and Debbie doesn't get spooky stuff, but I know she gets really cool stuff. I
want Zach to go. I want Zach to. Next time you see it, Zach, I want you to say hi to it and get what you can off it, and we want to hear back.
Right on.
Listen, I am fascinated with shadow people. Fascinated with them.
Yeah, but people believe, okay, and it depends who you talk to.
Yeah.
But if it's something in shadow, it has to be evil. Now, no. I don't necessarily believe that. I don't.
I don't either.
Now, my friend Heidi Hollis, she's the first person out there that has trademarked, actually, Shadow Man, Hat Man, or Hat Guy. I think it's Shadow Man, Hat Guy. And she actually collects stories from people who have experienced what they have. She's written, she's a comic book creator. She's so cool. She's I call it a muggle job. Her muggle job, she's an occupational therapist, but she's a podcaster too. And so she writes comics like with Bigfoot and all kinds of stuff. It's super cool. But she's done some comic book type things to help kids, like when they're scared of the dark and things they may see. Because going back to Nuke's top 5, Dave, that's originally why I sent you that video. What did you think of those two little babies? They were pretty well babies. I mean, what were they, 2 years old?
I totally believed them because of the fact that, that's how I was as a kid. I was the same exact way.
Well, we should tell people that haven't seen it. So with Nuke's top 5,
I'll let Lorilei describe it. Go ahead.
Okay. So with Nuke's top 5, YouTuber, he gets videos sent in, if you're just tuning in, from all over the world, people that think they may have caught paranormal activity. He does not tell you what to think. He showcases it, gives a bit of a story, and you get to decide. But there was 2 videos in a row. One little boy, mom was taking a picture of him as he was saying cheese. He looked like he was maybe 18 months old, and he's backing up against the wall, and he starts to back around, and then he looks up and he goes, Papa, Papa. And she goes, what are you looking at? What are you talking about? And he keeps going, Papa, Papa. And then you can tell about this, Dave, how it interconnects with you, how it really, really resonated. And she looks, she goes, stop that. You're freaking me out. And then after she thought about it, his grandfathers are still alive, she said, but her and her husband's papas had all both passed within the same month. Okay, so there was that. Right after, another little boy, maybe 2 years old, didn't speak that clearly. And they're sitting on the couch and she's filming him and she's going, well, what's one of your favorite places to be? He goes, he's looking and he looks really scared. And his mom says, what are you looking at? He goes, Willie scary. And he's saying it's bad. And she goes, what are you talking about? There's nothing there. And she kept focusing the camera. And he's going, a ghost. a ghost, Mommy. He's floating. It's floating. Anyways, long story short, he said to her, Mommy, let's go in my room where it's safe. Nothing was caught on camera, but it was intriguing. And take it away, Dave.
Oh my God, I am so stupid. I just got the best validation.
Okay.
Okay. Remember earlier when I said I was talking to my grandparents?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay. Well, originally why I went with the pinwheels was because by my grandfather's, the little firefly that I had there, dragonfly that I had there had been broken. So I changed it. You know what I call my grandparents are Mamo and Papa. It was Papa. And right when I got home from there, I opened up your video and watched it, and I never put two and two together.
Because you said that whole video, there was so much stuff in there, and you did mention the kids that reminded you what you went through.
It's like everything in that video was all about stuff that happened to me in that in the video. But that was, my papa, it took me, he was the one who took the longest to come to me. I mean, he passed away and I didn't even hear from him for like, gosh, 8 to 10 years. Every other person I've known that passed away, I have heard from them usually within the same week or within the same year. And like my grandmother, literally, it was like a week. My other grandmother, it was about 3-4 weeks. My memo down here. My grandfather in Wisconsin, it took him about a good 2 years.
Mhm.
And my best friend who died, it took him probably about 8 months. So, I mean, not to give you so many times and dates, but you guys, when we talk about looking for signs and stuff, you know, we as mediums, we always tell you guys, you have to become aware. You have to look for the signs, because I totally missed that until you were just saying the little boy saying the name, and it was like, "Hi, Papa," and I was like, that's how I left the grave too. I was like, "Bye, Papa," and so that was kind of cool. So I'm very ecstatic right now. So
I was smiling, but I was also smiling. Roger, were your ears burning because I talked about you and Faye? All good, I swear, on the show tonight. And he just says, someone's knocking at the door. Can I come in? You're always welcome. Anybody's welcome here. You want to participate? We're getting to comments here. Wait, poor Sandra's been waiting. And Rose did say, with what we gave her for a bit of a reading from her mom, that she said it broke her heart, but she said, thanks, guys. It made me feel so much better. Now, Sandra says, I have a boisterous crew with me. They're easy to perceive. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Don't you love it, Sandra? I know Sandra is a boisterous, but Sandra, if you guys don't know Sandra, which you don't, well, let me introduce you to Sandra. This is everybody. Everybody, this is Sandra. So Sandra has got an out there personality, pretty much like me or Lorilei or anybody else. And it's really funny how we tend to get spirits who match our personality.
Yes.
A lot of times, not always. I mean, but every one of my guides, well, except for one, he's really smart, and I'm not. So, but I mean, I'm not being down on myself.
You have somebody to remember all that information locked away that you really do have, Dave.
Yeah, he's very, very intelligent when he gives me this. But for the most part, they're all loud. I mean, I love that, Sandra. So I can understand why Sandra has a boisterous crew. You'll have to
Zach says he's going to do what you suggested. He's going to try and, if he sees it again, connect with the shadow, and then you told it to say hi and what's up.
He should totally do that.
Oh, he probably will. Well, okay, so Debbie, I know you don't see stuff like this, but Debbie used to get, like, I'll never forget Debbie. I'll probably be in a nursing home 100 years old and remember talking to Debbie years and years before. It was still years ago, and her cat that I could see right through on the camera, and then their other cat was actually behind, and I took a picture of it because I was telling her, did you used to have a cat that sat on the pillow right beside you? So there's so many things around us, Dave, what you just said, that we have to pay attention, not even as mediums, all of us, about the signs and the symbols and the things all around us, because it's there if we pay attention.
Yeah. And it's true. And if we don't let stuff bully it, I mean, we call the show The Thing at the Foot of the Bed because it's all about, like, when we were young, pulling the covers up over our head because we got spooked and there's something at the foot of the bed. There's something in the closet. You know, as now, I wish I would have known. I wish I knew now what I knew when I was very, very little, that none of that was there to hurt me, nor could it hurt me. But I mean, I'm sure there's, I'm not negating that there are people have some problems with spirits that are driving them crazy. And,
I have.
but even at that, but you even said you understand the reason why that happened to you because it brought you to a certain place. So sometimes,
well, I'm not afraid anymore either.
No,
like in the beginning, when
sometimes-
you don't know and you can't see something and something's throwing your partner 15 feet across the kitchen into the cupboards. Yeah, I used to say there was a fine line between fear and standing in your dominion, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, you got to force yourself to cross that line, because once you do, and I don't say this from a sense of ego, you become empowered, and they know you are empowered, and they know it doesn't matter what they do, away with you. Hi, Faye.
No, that's absolutely true. I mean, and when you know how when people say if you have a ghost in your house, you tell it to leave and put sage around it and all that stuff. No, if you really think to yourself, if you were that ghost and somebody put a bunch of sage and stuff, and there's something that it does to us, are we actually going to listen to that? We're going to be like, yeah, whatever. That would be me. I'd be a ghost. I'd be like, save the salt for your mashed potatoes because. But you know what? Once that spirit can feel that you have power, you took your power back, that is actually what is making that spirit kind of calm down away from you, because
you know what, though, I was having this conversation, and I'm positive I'm going to be having it on the Angel, actually a really good friend of mine as well. We all were in the same group that shall remain nameless from years back. Great things came out of it, like Dave and my friend Leanne. And we were talking about, I'm positive it was her and I the other day, about, I have actually heard, I know Zach and Debbie have heard this, I believe, let me get back a sec here, Rose, a whole bunch of people that were on Jason's show. There were people, I remember that there was this guest one time talking about that they had heard of, or something to that effect. They had a ghost that lived in their house that would do the laundry and like clean up after them. They'd come home and the folded laundry like would be put away and stuff. Because Leanne and I got talking about our childhoods and experiencing ghosts and things like this. And she was talking about, I think it was one of her relatives that would say, oh no, it was one of her friends. There's a ghost that lives upstairs, but there was never a problem. And that's what we started talking about with, would you really have a problem? Like, as long as they minded their business and didn't wake you up in the middle of the night and you don't bother them, live peacefully. Right?
I've got all kinds of crap in every house I'm in, and I rarely, they never bother me. I've got to tell you that I need that ghost out of my house.
I need it too. That's what Leanne and I were saying. Yeah, that's the kind of ghost everybody wants.
To do that, I really don't think ghosts, even demons. I mean, if I was a demon possessing somebody and some priest held up a cross to me, I'd be like, whatever, dude, jump into the year 2000. Nobody is afraid of your God. You know, it's like there are better ways to get rid of things, you know? I
understand energy, even though that's what stopped, because we did have a lot of physical attacks, but the one thing that stopped it, and I used to hear this all the time, and it used to drive me insane. You've got to raise your vibration. I used to go, what the heck does that mean? And it's so easy. Bring happiness, love, joy, some of the outside, inside, like friends over, watch movies that make you laugh, anything that's going to make you happy, get out in nature, those kind of things. And because everything, I believe, like energy attracts like energy. So you've got lower energy and you're dealing with something like that, you raise your energy up, you're not a match for it anymore.
Yeah, every time you set your ego to the side, your vibration literally And people go, what's that vibration mean? We are all vibrating because we are not really solid. In fact, when you touch your fingers, you're actually not even touching your fingers. It's just moving air and molecules are touching
No,
molecules.
but think about phantom pain. Like, have you guys ever heard about that? I know Dave has,
Oh,
but if you
yeah.
guys,
If you lose your left arm, you still feel like your left arm is
and
there.
you'll feel your arm, you will feel everything, you will feel the pain, and you will still feel like you can move it, even though it's not there, right?
Yeah, there's all kinds of weird stuff like that. But as it comes down to it, literally everything is energy, whether we call it a ghost, a spirit, a demon, a god, an afterlife, a rock, a pebble, or a glass of juice.
Grain of sand.
Everything is energy at some point. I wanted to tell you something if you guys want to hear something scary.
Yes.
Okay, because then
We got to read Debbie's comment too, and then but tell the scary story.
I think they don't dig my vibe. About a year after when I came home from the hospital, I was having mad crazy dreams and mad crazy strange stuff for the first year. The first year is very depressing after NDE. Talk to anybody with an NDE.
Most people say that, yeah.
Depressing. But I kept having these weird dreams, and I used to have this recurring dream, and it stopped finally. But I never, ever, ever to this day knows what it means. I have asked. I'm like, what does it mean?
Oh, now we got to hear it. Now we got to hear it.
It's going to come to you. I was walking through a house, just walking through a house. On every wall, there would be a big wooden picture or a big picture, like old picture, like from, like a castle wall type picture. But I was in a normal house. I would walk to the picture and it would just have a face on there. And then it would morph into this, like almost if you were walking through a fun house and you know how they have those pictures where it drops and they go raw and scare you. It was like that, except the person in the picture would become this terrible looking thing, and it was in 3D, and it would always come out of the picture and just stare at me, and it would watch me walk. Every time I walked around a corner, there's another picture, and they watched me throughout this entire house going through it. And I remember there's one part of the dream, because I was never like really frightened, because after what I went through, it's like, no, nothing really scares me, not even a dream. But I got curious, and I had said, you're not scaring me, but you're pissing me off because I don't know what you want. And I remember when I started saying that, it stopped. So to this day, I haven't a clue what that means. I have asked my guides. I have meditated on it. I have tried to come up with anything. I know it's got to be some weird dream metaphoric thing that happened, but I don't know what it is. And I tried to think of what was I going on in the situation. Why were these pictures morphing into monsters when I saw them? But I think the clue in it was I was in a regular house. It was just walls, almost like a cartoon house, just white walls with like one picture on this wall. You go around the corner, there's one picture there, one picture by the staircase. There's one. Every one was a different person, and they were all from like medieval type times. And they were scaring me. And the only thing that I came close to was I was shown in my NDE, one of the lives I had lived was a religious figure who went against what God had told me and went with the church, and hundreds of thousands of people were slaughtered in the name of God when God had nothing to do with it. And I knew better, but I never spoke up because they showed me that in the dream. They're like, this is why you hate religion now. I'm like, okay, I got you.
You know what I got from what you were sharing, but I always say to people that the people that know the best of what their dream means is you, because you're the one having it, the symbolic meaning behind it, the whole bit. Rose thought, I'm going to add her comment, then I'll share what I was getting as you were speaking. Rose said, maybe you're not meant to know yet. But I almost felt like when you were describing what you were describing, you were being shown images of past lives before you even said what you said.
Yeah.
But with the faces and morphing, this is going to sound really weird. In between, never mind that the drugs that you obviously would have been given in the hospital have a long-lasting effect, but I don't feel that that's what
like
this
a year after the hospital.
That's I said I don't feel that's what this was. What I almost feel like is this is going to sound so weird. I kept getting the vision of these things, like you said, creepy, and then really turning into monsters. It was almost like facing what your old life was, like making, how do I want to say this? Like, because you've talked about what you were before, where there goes my light again, what you were before versus who you are now from the NDE. So it's almost like it was your old life coming out, the demons, monsters, if you will, of what maybe you didn't face before and who you were now. And what's the word I want to say? I'm on the tip of my tongue. Not making amends, but basically accepting it, healing it, letting it go, or taking a stand and saying, stop it. Like basically you're
It would probably be more beneficial if I could actually remember what the actual faces looked like in the in the
It
picture.
keeps making me think of, though, because you've talked about your previous life on the air before.
The first one always, and it was a picture that was hanging in the hallway. It wasn't on a wall. It was like it was floating in the hallway. That was of this man, and he kind of looked like a king, and he had these ruffles around him, his neck. So I don't know what period that is, but he would put his hands on the frame and come out like that, and just come out at me.
But that's what I keep getting, and I could be wrong. Only you're going to know if it's right or not. But it's almost like I said at first, it seemed like past lives, and then like kind of like who you were before your NDE versus who you were, like kind of, it's not the right word I want to use. Amalgamating them, like amalgamating it, taking a stand and kind of claiming who you are, who you were meant to be, that you've stepped into now after the NDE. Like you even acknowledged you've had these gifts your whole life.
Oh yeah, my whole life.
But you've just become incredibly more powerful, and not from an ego sense, but with accuracy, with connection, with details after the NDE.
They're way stronger than when I was before the NDE. But the reason I'm telling a lot of you this who are listening right now is this is kind of a scary story, and I'm making light of it. It was scary dreams to wake up to after a while. But when Lorilei was talking about taking your power back, and that's what I'm trying to get to too. No matter what scares you, even like paranormal people, if you're going to go on an investigation, try not to go in there with anticipated fear. Go in there with, let's see what we can find, because I just want to prove to the world that you guys exist. And that's really what they're trying to do. Hopefully
that's what those guys from the UK that we talked about at the beginning of this story. I've seen these guys on Nuke's Top 5 before. The team from the UK, that they were locked in the room, and instead of screaming and yelling, they just sort of stopped, breathed, and said, "Excuse me, we'd like to leave now. Could you open the door?" Yeah. That's what these guys do. Like, I'm surprised, because there's kind of some jump scares that he'll show in their videos and stuff, and they don't freak out. And they've made it very clear, and I don't follow their channel. They're here to document the afterlife. Is why we're here to prove they're there.
That's what most of them do. It's not about going, ooh, spook, ooh, gross, ooh, it's a demon, ooh, he strangled people, ooh, no, he's here to kill everybody who's alive and comes in the house. I mean, it's not always like that. I love Sandra's thing. Sandra,
go ahead and read it.
I'll let you read it. But before you read it,
okay.
This is audience. This is when I was talking about how we never actually touch our fingers and everything. This is her response to it, which is absolutely correct.
Okay, so Sandra Sharp says, we are energetic beings comprised of tiny cellular-sized force fields, and I heard light, mushed together, bound magnetically entangled in a host of patterns that comprise all of our bodily systems and organs. One other thing I'm going to add, and it resonated with me, and that we have agreed as a species, as life on this planet, we have agreed that we're going to appear as solid.
Yeah, we actually agreed to 3D, so we can see height, width, and length. If we were,
he says it so succinctly. I love when you do that. I'm gonna went on forever.
La la la. But yeah, we also agreed on that, and we are bound by those laws on this planet until they change, which they are, because some people do see in 4D. Lorilei sees in 4D. I see in 4D. Sandra Sharp sees in 4D. A lot of people we know have the ability to see in 4D. I, at this moment, do not have the ability to see in 5D, but the planet's supposed to. But in 5D, we wouldn't exist really.
No, we're not. I was just thinking, we're not using our eyes when you're thinking about.
Yeah, we're not solid figure in 5D. So whenever people are going, we're going into 5D, I'm like, no, that's death, my dear. That's when you lose your physical body. But the 4D is happening to look past that. So instead of seeing just a triangle with the triangle in between, you see the opposites of those two. I won't explain it on this show because it would take the entire show. And
it's the same as when you get into timelines and dimensions, and my mind starts to go, oh.
You guys, seriously, I want to take a class in physics just because. Oh, I know, and I hate physics, but I need to know some things. Sometimes I need to know what the spirits are telling me. Them telling me something, and they'll tell me something, and I'll tell somebody who knows physics, and they'll go, "Yeah, you're correct. How did you know that?" I'm like, "I heard it from them because I freaking don't know it at all." But I would like to know it. It'd probably give spirit a lot more to pull from.
Okay, so then let's go back. Let's go back to
medical things.
Okay, so let's go back to what Rose said, though. Now, again, I could be wrong, but Rose had said maybe you're not meant to know yet, as referring to your dream. I'm a firm believer in that when we are meant to know is the perfect moment. When we're meant to be somewhere, it's the perfect moment. You know what I mean? So I hear you, and I could almost see, yeah, I would want to know more, because then you could build on that knowledge and continue. But maybe you were meant to meet that person that had a physics background, and you had that conversation and he validated it for you.
You never know. You never know why. I'm never certain of anything nowadays. The only thing I'm certain of is that nobody dies. I know that for sure. Yeah. but all this other stuff is amazingly cool. Mm-hmm. Study physics. Yes. Sandra, that's exactly why I want to study physics, to know how to better describe these concepts. Although I've been told this over and over, because I used to ask why my guides don't use big words. And it's always the same thing, is because we want all to be able to understand. And it's true, because when they give me something, I translate it. They give me something difficult and I translate it into Dave. And then when I say it, because that's what I have to do that on TikTok, and that's the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing on TikTok sometimes, to explain things, because I got like 3 minutes and like So I do try to make things easier, but I do agree with Rose and with you and everybody else is when I'm meant to know something, I'll know something. That's pretty much how it's been.
But we want it all. We want it all. We want it all now. We do.
You know, you guys, that's why more people, I have a theory that more people are getting so edgy about when am I going to get this and when am I going to get that and when am I going to get this, because I think those people are starting to remember who they are, because in your natural state outside of this earth, anything you want is literally a perception, thought, focus away. So in the other world, let's say if we were doing this right now on the other side, if there was such a thing, and I said, oh, my computer's not working, I could just think myself over to Lorilai's side, or we could just think you guys into an audience in front of us, or we could just be speaking it and you would just automatically know what we were thinking. I don't know, who knows?
Okay, so you know what I'm going to say, though? Mm-hmm. That goes back to when we were, I'm so sorry. Your name started with an A that we did the reading. I know who you are. Just my brain is short circuited tonight that we did. Sorry, an L. I was way off. Leona. Well, you were talking about the answer for you about your daughter and how powerful thought is, right? We've just come cyclical all over again, because that's how powerful we are.
Thought is extremely powerful, you guys. And you can think, and even here, you can think yourself into a scary haunted house if you want to. I mean, you literally can, correct? I mean, and you can think yourself. I've ruined many a really.
I have a theory about, and it's not coming from an ego sense, and I could be completely wrong, but the more and more I run into people that have had experiences, say with negative entities or physical attacks or whatever it may be, okay? And yes, I do believe that in a way that thought, we've talked about tulpas and things like that, energy, all kinds of things like that. I was told this years ago when I was looking for answers with our place at our house, that you're going to be doing something for the light that the dark does not wish you to do.
Yeah.
But, okay, so we could do a whole show about where the dark comes from, and one day we probably will. But At first, I used to think that was so egotistical, I couldn't figure out what they're talking about. Moving forward to today, yes, and I'm not coming from an ego sense. Yes, right? Having shows, talking to people, mentoring with them, doing things behind the scenes with the light. I understand that. But I almost feel like not everybody, but I've been running into certain people that have had a lot of attacks, if you will, or things with negative entities. And maybe they've built it into their experience in this lifetime.
They may
But
have.
it's almost like it's like they have a choice when that happens. Okay, something negative happens. Either they're going to I feel like they have gifts that they haven't acknowledged yet, or they don't want to acknowledge yet, if you will. So that negative experience tries to keep them away from it, if you will. Kind of the same thing I was told.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I'm not saying it happens to everybody, because I have met so many people, and I don't know every person in the whole world, but I've met so many people say that I've had very negative experiences like what we went through.
Yeah.
And now they're using their gifts and they're quite powerful. Would they have done it without the experience? Maybe, maybe not.
A lot of people that I've met who do what we do usually had some weird experience that got us to this
As
place.
a kid, how many people have you talked to?
Oh
Why
my
are
God,
you involved in the paranormal?
every kid in the world when they're first born is still connected to the other side. It's usually about like 9 o'clock, I guess. Or 9 o'clock. 9 years old is, I say, is that cutoff point where your brain pretty much goes, oh, I'm just gonna believe whatever people tell me now. I'm not gonna believe that no more. Because
Okay,
even
so Rose says, yeah, I agree, Laura. It had that effect on me. But also, I have yet to meet, and I've met every person that's had an NDE or near-death experience. Most come back either like with Dave, he was always gifted, but it's like it's been dialed up a million, or people that never access those abilities come back with those gifts, or intuitive gift of some type.
mine from about age 20 till almost age 40, I wanted freaking nothing to do with it. So
That's
I
what you said, yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I just got drunk all day long.
Well, maybe you need to do
Way,
it in that moment. Mhm.
by the way, when people ask them, like, can they still get through when you're drunk? Yeah, they can, but you don't understand it. So it's
And
just,
you don't want to be accessing spirit
I
if
just don't
you.
want that. It brought up a whole mess of problems for me. But we do what we do. So that's
No, but I
what
won't even do healing work with people. I won't do readings. Say if I'm not feeling well, or I'm having a lot of pain, or I've got like a viral cold or something, I won't do that, because I know if I can pick up their pain from their halfway across the world, and maybe they're not really sensitive, I know for a fact that we can send things the other way. There is no time, space, or different distance on the other side, right? So
Now we won't tackle this in this one, but I wonder if paranormal peeps get the same way. Um, after I am involved with a lot of spirit,
mhm.
do you know what? I am so hungry for sugar.
Oh, I got an answer for you.
I have sweets, and I
I got
wonder,
an answer for you.
do investigators do that too when they get
No, 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 no. Remember when we were talking before the show,
out?
and we were talking, I won't bring up the whole thing, but you had asked me about something and you didn't get involved because you couldn't give the answer. And I said I knew a team, that somebody that coordinated things. Okay. This individual is a nurse and has a doctorate in neurology. And he believes he has actually documented where psychic ability is in the brain. He calls it the region of psi, and
Yeah,
he believes it's behind the left ear. He can actually tell, he believes, and he's tested it. Her EEG is actually up still, I believe, on YouTube. Katrina Cooper, many of you will know her. It's Dr. Chuck Kennedy. Okay, he used an EEG machine, and he also is one who he's taken many different forms of remote viewing and kind of amalgamated it into a system. So say he only works with authorities, but say if he has a case of a missing person, he's got teams of psychics he will activate, teams of remote viewers, and he kind of coordinates all the information. They have a very high, or did, I haven't talked to him in a while, very high success rate, like 96% recovery rate, even if it's a missing body or what have you. But also what he's done, He's done a study because he has found that, especially with women, most of us that are intuitive tend to have some type of autoimmune issue, whether it might be fibromyalgia, chronic pain, whatever it might be, right? But then he also measured how much energy it takes when we connect with spirit. Big, long way to get here. Sorry. Connect with spirit. And I forget what the numbers were, but it was so incredible after 30 minutes connecting with spirit, whether it's with readings, whatever it is, especially for those that are very sensitive and intuitive. He actually, what you just said, Dave, he tells you if you're going to be doing readings for a long period of time, make sure you have chocolate. And I went like Harry Potter when they were connecting with the ridiculous and all that in that movie, but he measured it.
And that's true. And no, it's absolutely true. It's because I have to eat sweets or chocolate. In fact, when I used to run a mediumship circle in Gastonia here, I brought chocolates. So I told everybody afterwards, you might want to eat these. I can connect for a very, very long time, and it's okay. And I don't feel drained as I'm doing it. And when I get done, I don't feel drained when I'm done. Like people go, oh, I'm tired. I got a headache now from doing this. I'm like, I feel energized, but I am starving.
He measured blood sugar. That's how he measured it. He did pre, during, and after. And he said, I can't believe it was a huge drop in blood sugar. I think he measured respiration, heart rate. He measured a whole bunch of things, and your metabolic rate goes up so high. But it makes sense, right? While you're connecting to the other side.
Especially if you're like if you're a physical medium, or if you are a medium who has a very strong clairsentient trait, like me, when people come through who've had a stroke, they literally put it across my body. It doesn't feel like a stroke, and it doesn't hurt me. They give me this sense of a stroke, sense of a heart attack. I know for shootings, I'll hear two gunshots and a touch tells me they were shot in this place. One gunshot usually means they took themselves. They took themselves when I hear one gunshot.
They unalive themselves, yeah.
Yeah, they unalive themselves. But it is funny and that's not funny.
I know it was a long story to get there, but I had to give some
and I just did a long story to respond, but that's how we roll here at the foot of the bed.
So I think people could take this, though. I don't think you have to be necessarily cognizant of your gifts, although I believe everybody has them.
They do.
But definitely pack something sweet if you know you're going to go into, say, maybe an active place. Bring something to keep up your blood sugar, because I mean, like I said, he's shown it connecting with spirit, and it wasn't just once. Like he knew it. I mean, when you get your doctorate and masters anything, you're gonna have to know how to do hypotheses and thesis and all these things to prove it, right? So it was a really fascinating conversation I had with him a few years ago on my other show.
And to all you people who are like, wow, I wonder if it would be a good or a bad idea to go on a ghost investigation, I would say, if you feel drawn to it, you go. But just don't go in with a level of fear. And like we said, having something to eat would be good for you, because if you do get caught up in a state of fear, it is going to have an effect on your body, and it might have an effect on the energies. There's so much at play during an investigation, you guys.
Go with an experienced team.
Yeah, from a medium's point of view, just watching a team investigate who has nothing to do with what I do. They're just investigators, and there's so much going on and so much that happens. And with just me standing next to some of them, I can feel their energies changing. Sometimes you can feel when their energy gets really low, where it gets really like shaky. So maybe that's probably true. What he said. I'm glad you said that. I never knew why I was so hungry, and I knew it had something to do with talking to those guys.
And if you figure, especially if you're talking to somebody that's high vibrational and everything's energy, right? They kind of got to lower their vibration. We have to raise our vibration to try to connect. So you can see why it would burn off a lot of energy.
Yeah, it burns off a lot. Sometimes I get lazy, and I'm like, oh, you come here.
Yeah.
Just speak through me. I'm tired.
Well, it depends too, I think, on the day. And so
I'm usually I'm pretty uplifted in spirits, and I can't wait to go back to investigating again because that was fun. But if I'd want to do it with a team or else just a bunch of mediums. But you know what? I've been on investigations with like 3 or 4 other mediums, and it's weird. I mean, it's fun, but it's weird.
Because everybody gets different things. You don't always get the same thing. I'm
No.
sorry, but you don't. You don't all get. Sometimes you will. Sometimes people get different things from.
But a lot of times, if you're with good mediums, like people who are practiced and
Yeah.
really know how to do this, we're not talking to somebody who just said, I'm a medium last week and I took a course. I'm talking about people who are working mediums, who are doing this for years. They'll all have different experiences, but they'll all have that 1 or 2 things that
Yes, that's what I said. So that you'll all have the same thing in common. Yeah.
same thing.
And not together either. Like one person will go, maybe 2 will go to the room and then you'll switch or you'll go somewhere else. And then when you meet up at the end of the night, you find out, oh my God, that happened to me too.
Well, I guess we should start giving our outros here because it's 9:51, isn't it?
Oh, I got 8:47. Am I late? Let me double check on my phone here, Dave. You are right. It is indeed 8:51. My computer is slow, so good thing Dave's on the money. Then I better not listen. We were a few minutes late tonight, guys. I apologize because I was going by my clock and it's like 4 or 5 minutes behind. Go ahead.
And she was actually trying to set herself up with those Princess Leia donuts on the side.
Yes, I had them. I had them with clips and I had my hat off. We were going to do that for May the 4th be with you, but do you think they would stay in?
So if you guys want to get a hold of me, my name is David Hanzel Medium. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Facebook, my Facebook groups, and my YouTube channel. It's called The Spirit Experience for both of those. TikTok is under Spirit Medium David Hanzel at Medium David Hanzel. You can write to me or book readings at theywhispertome.com. If you have any ideas for this show, my show, or just any ideas in general, or just want to tell me something, you can write to me at david@theywhispertome.com. Take it away, Lorilei.
Wait, you forgot one thing. Neither Dave or I contact anybody and offer free readings or anything like that, right? Did I miss that? Like, because you get lots of people, especially trying to scam.
A lot of imposters, you guys. So if you hear something from me, it wasn't me because I don't reach out to people directly and solicit anything.
Neither do I. So if you want to get a hold of me, well, first of all, please tune in Monday nights here on United Public Radio Network because I have the Angel Rock from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I have Leanne Clark. You think I would know. She's a very good friend of mine. My brain's not working. It's May the 4th. It's the Princess Leia brain. Anyways, if you ever want to get a hold of me for a reading, like Dave said, a show idea, guest idea, any questions, whatever it may be. I also do mentoring and I do healing work too. You can get a hold of me on facebook.com/The Angel Rock. I too have a YouTube channel and most of my social media is under The Angel Rock. If you look that up, or the YouTube channel, I believe, is The Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin, but you can find it. Also, I have 2 groups on Facebook, Paranormal University for all things paranormal, and then the Angel Rocker Tribe. We kind of had a mix tonight. We had more paranormal, but a bit of spiritual, and that's what I do in the Angel Rocker Tribe. Is there anything else you want? We love you guys too. Thank you all for being here. We love having you here, and we love doing this, don't we, Dave?
We sure do. You guys have a good night, and we're gonna see if we can do it again in the count of 3.
Ready?
1, 2, 3. What's at
the foot of your bed?
Oh, do you know
Almost.
What it is, you guys, is we have like a delay between us, so it's hard. We'll get it one of these times.
We said if we get it right on, like right on the money, there's no pause, like we are saying it like one voice, then we're going to each give away a full reading. So we got to do this, guys. You're going to help count us in. Thanks for all your great comments there, you guys. Stay tuned. I forgot to mention, stay tuned for Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano with the Outer Realm coming up right next. They are amazing. You guys are going to love it. Okay, take care, guys. Love ya.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.